Uh-oh, I lost it. Okay, charter. Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
All right, Steve, congratulations. Sorry I couldn't be there, but
Well,
it
thank
was
you very
an
much,
honor.
and thank you for your nomination letter. It was a great surprise, as we were talking about before. I had no idea what was going on for about 30 seconds.
Well, we got one over on you, so it felt pretty good.
Yes, and that's what the office staff was saying and the deans were saying. They just said you're always tuned into everything, and
I know.
and it's hard to get you, catch you by surprise. And sure did. And then I saw, my wife and son there, and I'm like, why are y'all here? And to see Dixie and Barbara, and as I was saying before, Dave Machado, we need to talk about an irregularity. And I said, well, I know that's not good. And then I saw, Dr. Jones came in on the other side, and then the folks from Charter One were there, and I was trying to process it, and I had no idea what, until somebody said something, then I had no idea what we were talking about. So, but a tremendous honor, and thank you all for your support throughout the first
Well,
4+
deserved.
years.
Yeah, well deserved. Do we, Khadija, are you on the line?
Yes, ma'am. I'm right here.
Okay, do we have a quorum yet?
We do have a quorum.
Okay.
So far, we have yourself, Diane, Dixie, Scott, Paula, and Nicholas. And then we
All
have
right.
another number that has joined. It ends in 0561. Could you please identify yourself by first and last name?
William Iden.
Okay.
Oh, that's the Scott phone.
Sorry,
All right.
I was
We make note
having,
of that really quick.
yeah, I'm having computer audio issues, so apologies.
Okay, since we have a quorum, and I did state that we are going to keep this meeting to 45 minutes at the most, people. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully everybody has read their packets. And if you had questions or concerns, that you've given them to Khadija so that she can look at them and have a discussion, so we're prepared to move quickly today. So with that being said, can we do roll call, please?
Sure. Linda Reynolds,
Here.
Dixie Newsome,
Here.
Diane Holt,
Here.
Scott Iden,
Here.
Paula Rigsby,
Here.
Nicholas Potter.
Here.
All right. And then we also have Donna Rasco and Steve Pond.
Here.
Here.
All right. Has been approved. We've done roll call. Let's look at the agenda, if you could. And I think we just basically have 2 discussion items. That's school mental health improvement plan and the 2021-22 prayer certification and single set of assurances. Okay, so if you would look that over, and if it meets your approval, can I have somebody from the floor to approve the agenda as written?
This is Diana. I approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Scott, second.
Okay,
All right.
Khadija, if you take roll call, please, on that?
Linda,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Dixie,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Nicholas.
Yes.
Thank you.
If you would, okay, it has been approved. Let's go to the discussion items, number A. Khadija, is it possible to pull that up on the share the screen with us?
I sure can.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mhm.
And I am assuming that, Steve, are you going to be sharing the mental health improvement?
Yes, ma'am. Happy to share if you like, and I'm going to flip over and get my own screen so I can scroll. But as you have read and may have even heard back in November, all public schools in North Carolina were required by the Board of Education to adopt a plan to help support students, both the wellness and mental health of students, to help make sure things are effectively in place especially with everybody returning to school, either in the latter part of the 2020-21 school year or in the year ahead. And so a big movement has taken place to, which is a great movement, in my opinion, to help support the social emotional wellness of students, especially as they've all lived through a pandemic just like we have. And so this plan was put together to help address that continuum of support services that are in place. You can see some of the elements that must be included are the universal promotion of mental and social emotional wellness and prevention. Some of that is done through instruction and set curriculum or training tools that we have in place. The environment in general must be conducive to supporting and nurturing our students. The second one is speaking about early intervention as part of an intervention system. So talking about if a student brings something to us or we're made aware or have not suspicion, because that has a negative sounding, but an awareness of a student who might be struggling emotionally or with their mental health, we want to make sure we can engage through them or their parents or both and offer some sort of referral process, which is done here with our amazing social worker, Mrs. Furby, and also allow for that student to have some time with our social worker as needed, who can connect to parents, as can we on the administrative team. We also make sure, and we've had this in place already at Peak, where we have an evaluation tool that we can use and ask a series of questions to our scholars to assess if we feel, based on this tool that's been here, that they may be at risk for self-harm. But it's the suicide ideation or self-harm ideation. And so we can then make referral to the social worker. We can contact parents, and we as the administrators do that because we're trained in the tool. We never want to just put a teacher on the spot. So that plan needs to be approved by July 1st. So thank you for taking the time to meet today. And I'm going to scroll down to page 2, and I'm on my own screen. So thanks for joining me, Kaditra. But this page 2 is just the overview of the plan and the wellness supports. There are several components. There was a needs assessment part. There's a universal prevention section that talks about how we're going to respond to certain needs that are identified for the state we meet. There's that early intervention component that we talked about, with making sure that we can work with students to make sure if they are experiencing some troubles or potentially are in crisis, as unfortunately we've had students in the past, we can help support them through that process, refer them to whether it's Health and Human Services, or their parents can connect them with pediatricians and or local community crisis intervention groups, and then to help them reentry, which we are very happy that we've had a few students who have experienced this crisis that have come back to us and are doing really well with the additional supports in place. So overall, I know this was shared with you, so I certainly don't want to read it item for item, but under the needs assessment, there's a tool called the SHAPE, and the link is there at the SHAPE system. So we partnered with our social worker, Ms. Furby, and she kind of walked through the SHAPE system to conduct that needs assessment. And so the strengths that we identified were that our multi-tiered system of support, which is used to be commonly referred to as the intervention program or intervention assistance team at the school. We do have a really strong MTSS program here that supports our scholars, and the area for growth or for need, as the state called it, was to have a general school-wide mental health screening tool just to be able to evaluate all students as needed, as is required by the state moving forward into next school year. For the universal prevention program, this is where we talked about what we already do and what we have in place. So we already have a safety specialist, which are me and one of the deans as a backup. We do have our social worker, and we have our NTSS coordinator and the entire admin team who have all participated in that self-harm suicidality awareness training. And so we're trained to use that tool to help evaluate students. It is a confidential tool that we kind of work through, asking a series of questions. And then there's a rating scale based on the experts who created this. Once we have that identified, we always talk to parents, whether the child is deemed to be at risk or not, because we would never want to engage a child in a conversation about potential self-harm without their parents knowing. So we've used that Miller's tool. It's the modified scale for ideation. We also have the moral focus curriculum in place, the Behave with Care, positive behavior support training that we do with all of our staff. And then we will have 6 hours of training in August, every staff member at school. Some of the other things that we already have in place, the social studies curriculum also has a lot of social emotional wellness things being put in, and they're integrated also into our physical education. We're also implementing in kindergarten through 5th grade a program called Positive Action, which is a positively framed mindset strengthening program for students who either may become aware that they're experiencing some struggles, or it reinforces the positive things about them. That's for kindergarten through 5th grade, and we're going to continue to participate in the See Something, Say Something program at the middle school level, and even 5th grade and up, as we've done in the past, since those are the scholars who are a part of our house model, the vertically integrated peer groups that are for positive engagement and relationship building among grade levels. So we're incorporating that in through our moral focus program, in through our positive behavior intervention and support program. And then we're going to use as administrators, supporting systematic intervention is a program that is used as an evaluation tool as we oversee the multi-tiered system of support for all students. It's an evaluation tool that kind of works hand in hand with that. When we do that 6 hours of professional development in August, it will be tracked through our internal professional development program called MyNHA. We also have sign-in sheets that are part of the requirement for the state that we'll be doing as well. And then there are several as you get down to page 4 and 5 under right above early intervention. There's a series of different programs that we will be utilizing, are recommended through either the Safe Schools program, the Say Something, See Something, Say Something reporting program. All of these things are adopted by the state of North Carolina already. So we're going to be using them into the program. And then also you'll see there's an adult program. So the importance of self-care and well-being is something that we continue to talk about with our staff, especially through the pandemic that we've all experienced. So moving to the early intervention stages, we're going to work with staff through staff meetings and that 6-hour training to learn what are risk factors that staff members may see. Mrs. Furby also continues to check in and monitor students who have already previously been identified that we have worked with either when we were still in person or during our virtual time, because the mental health of students was really a concern of ours and at schools nationwide during the 14-15 months of the pandemic. And so she will work one-on-one and in small groups with students who she meets with as a social worker based on areas of concern or identifying factors that have come out and emerged, whether teachers observe that or we as administrators observe that. And we do have a response team that will come together if we have a student in crisis, as we have unfortunately had a couple, but our response plan was followed to the T, and our crisis intervention plan was implemented as it should have been. And the students are doing well, and they're one is back at school and one family moved for a fresh start, as we learned. But it's been great. And so when students do come back, we will refer students to appropriate community interventions. We do have very strong relationships already with the fire and police department, and fire including rescue. They've been to the school a couple of times for different things, but also to visit classes. There is a universal screener that's going to be adopted. We don't have the name of that yet because we're still reviewing from a series of options across the state is recommending. So NHA and statewide North Carolina are reviewing a lot of that. And we are hearing that there's going to be a statewide MTSS coordinator coming on board as well. And so once a student gets the help and they receive them, we do receive information from their treating physicians or counselors, wherever they may be getting the help that they need. And part of that is those medical professionals telling us that in their expert opinion and their work with the child. They are not a danger to themselves or others and can return for either a half a day or full day school or whatever kind of step in plan. And so the social worker and or I and the deans will communicate with those physicians, with the parents, to develop a specific re-entry plan that's unique to that student to help get those next steps. And it may be that we had one student came in for 2 hours in the morning for a week and saw the social worker for some one-on-one check-in. Then the next week they came in for 3 hours and then 4 hours. And then eventually they were back and gave them coping skills and strategies for what to say to classmates who may have asked, well, why haven't you been here? Where have you been? And to protect their privacy as well. And then as we're working, we do have the social worker. We have our special education regional supervisor, Ms. Blackwell, who's phenomenal. There is as it says here, a regional coordinator for MTSS is being requested through NHA to help oversee the MTSS program here, which is now led by Dean Eastman. And she's worked on that as a teacher, and she's now going to be taking over as well. And then as we move down further, we talk about the suicide referral protocol. As we mentioned earlier, there is that ideation kind of assessment that we're trained to go through. So we'll talk about that as well. And then stakeholder engagement, we're talking right now to you as the board of directors. We will share this information as a resource with families, not necessarily this specific plan, but when we meet with families about the things that our social worker does or things that we want you to contact us as an administrative team. And then we will talk about it as a part of our wellness plan, which every year is part of our reading nights that we do. We talk about the wellness plans and we talk about the reading commitments and the strategies to always help our families and our parents at home. And that comes through the Title I program, but we share the wellness plan anyway, as that's part of that Title I requirement. That's a good overview of the plan, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have about things that are here. Some of them are general, some are specific to Peak. We've included some of those links that we've already identified, but this has been talked about, reviewed with our directors of school quality. We've reviewed it as principals. Our school varies a little bit from other schools that may have different staff members or may not have strong relationships with local law enforcement or fire department and rescue. But we're very thankful to have a wonderful social worker, a great PTO, which serves as a parent advisory committee. We're actually meeting with our new PTO president and possibly board coming up on July 7th. And then we talk regularly as a leadership team and with our faculty and staff here at school.
Hopefully some of you, all of you had a chance to review this and have forwarded any questions or concerns to Khadidra.
Linda, your audio is kind of low.
And I'm having a little trouble with.
It was low on my end. I don't know if everybody else could hear you.
Yeah, it's a bit low. I
Yes,
told you.
Okay.
It's hard to hear.
Now,
You were a little closer to the screen before. It may be just your
okay,
proximity.
let me move up here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hopefully everybody has had a chance to review. Now, I said, due to time, we want to move on. So I do want to be cognizant of the time and ask people. I know people have to work, and this is a special session. So if you have a media question that you need to address now to Steve, please do it. Otherwise, we're going to move on.
Linda, this is Donna. I have one comment.
Yes, please.
And this is something I talked with Khadidra about, and Steve may be aware of it from our review of other NHA school plans. As you can see from his presentation, this plan is based upon a State Board of Education policy and rubric. And there is one provision in that State Board of Education policy that I have recommended that NHA take a look at. And it has to do with a requirement in the State Board policy that local boards shall offer to enter into a memorandum of understanding with local agencies. And NHA, and this is at the top of page 9, where NHA has the provision that the school will ensure that there's a consent form in place for any kids that are getting services. I've simply suggested that I think the state board policy is directing us to a little bit more than just consent forms. I do not think that this requires any kind of delay or anything. And again, I've already had a conversation with Doug, the new DSQ, and my understanding he's going to take a look at that. So at most, I would recommend to the board that perhaps upon approval, you simply incorporate that, NHA will review the state board policy and consider any revisions to that section that might be warranted. And I would be fine with whatever revisions they might choose to make, just to bring that a little bit more in line with the state board's a statement that the school is supposed to agree to enter into memorandums of understanding. And that's all that I have.
Asking that
Good.
NHA will review, because I'm having trouble with hearing. So can you say that again, what you're recommending, Donna?
Sure. With regard to the memorandums of understanding provision, the recommendation is that NHA review the state board policy, which would appear to require a little bit stronger language, and that NHA consider revisions to the plan based on that review.
Okay, all right. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all right.
Donna,
Let's go
this is
to
Scott.
the next.
Oh, sorry, Donna. One quick question. That memorandum of understanding, does that just outline basically expectations of the relationship, things like privacy, et cetera?
There's not that level of detail. The state
Right.
board policy just says that schools are supposed to consider entering into such a memorandum of understanding. Doesn't give you a lot of details about what's supposed to be in it.
All right, understood. Thank you.
All right, let's go to the second agenda item, please. And I'm not sure who will address that one.
Steve,
Khadija, are you going to lead on that?
I'm sorry, I was thinking it was your board fund request. My apologies. Yes, I will go ahead.
No
This
worries.
is prayer certification and single set of assurances. And you can find it on page 11 of your board packet, and I'll share my screen in a second. But
Thank you.
pretty much this is required annually as a condition to receiving the grant funding. And I know that you all did the grant funding at the regular board meeting earlier this month. So pretty much what the prayer certification is stating is that we can't make you pray, nor can we stop you from praying. And I'll share my screen now.
Deidre, this is Scott.
Yeah.
Is this something that we execute on an annual basis?
Scott, I will tell you, this is the first year in the 3 years I've been working with North Carolina schools that I saw it. And this seems to be something that the principals and Scott, Steve, I don't know if you can speak to you seeing this document before, but the principals have kind of, I guess, sent it off along with the information prior, is the understanding that I received when I asked about the form.
This is one that I had not individually seen this year. I have seen it and I've read it with the packet, but it's the state of North Carolina's requirement as of, part of ESSA in 2015.
Yeah.
So is this document executed? The term superintendent, well, I guess I should ask Donna, who signs this?
That's a great question. I would suggest to you that indeed the reference to superintendent reflects the general system of public schools in North Carolina and the fact that the lead administrative position for most traditional public schools is the superintendent. There are lots of documents that we have where charter schools are an LEA, therefore they have to do it but if you go to a particular forum, you'll see superintendent. And I would suggest to you, given that, it would make sense to me that in past years, somebody other than the board might have been signing these. I don't think that's problematic. And I did review the document, it's appropriate, and it doesn't give me any great concern that it's coming to the board for the first time this year. And they probably could just go ahead and have Steve or somebody else sign it. I think it's perfectly fine that it is coming to the board.
So as a recommendation then for Steve is what I think I'm hearing. And that seems to be a more aligned potential role, quote unquote superintendent. I am a little puzzled that it says revised August 2017. It's from legislature that apparently passed in 2015. I'm not complaining. I'm wondering if NHA perhaps has executed this in the past. I guess I'm just kind of curious where the last few years have gone in the fact that none of us have seen this form. So really that's more a measure of curiosity, not certainly not a complaint. And I'm feeling like NHA may have executed this in the past.
And Scott,
Steve, have you?
I would draw your attention to the fact that what the form does is certifies that the agency is complying with the law regarding prayer in public schools. So again, it doesn't concern me that NHA could have someone, the principal or somebody else, sign off certifying that yes, the school is complying. Because it's not like the board is voting to enter into a contract or something like that that would necessarily require a board vote. It's just somebody saying that, yep, Peak Charter complies with that federal requirement. So for that reason, that's the reason that it doesn't give me any more concern than it might otherwise.
Okay, understood. Khaditra, what's your understanding? Is this would this be a document that Steve would execute? I mean, obviously we need to attend to this as soon as we can and get it taken care of.
Yes, to my understanding, Steve would be signing off on the form. However, this is kind of in alignment with the grant funds that I spoke of earlier that you guys previously approved as well. So it just seems like it's I don't know, I guess in the era of transparency as of right now. So to my understanding, I think Steve will sign the document, but it is being brought to the board just for their acknowledgement or viewing.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Okay, if there aren't any additional questions, we will move down to action items. And the first action item, I'm working off of two, a little trouble with my cell phone here as well as meeting agenda. Okay, adoption of the school mental health improvement plan with I guess want to said comments made by our attorney that basically we will ask NHA to review it. Am I correct for this memorandum of understanding?
Correct.
All right, and so if that is what we're asked, we're asking for the action item. Can I have a motion from the floor?
This is Scott. I make a motion that we adopt the school mental health improvement plan with an added provision of further NHA review for the, and the terminology just escaped me, for the
Memorandum
of understanding. Thank you.
All right, can we have a second?
This is Dixie. I second the motion.
Okay, Khadidra?
Linda,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Dixie,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Nicholas.
Yes.
All right, motion passes.
All right, let's go to approval of the 2021-22 prayer certification and single set of assurances. Can I have a motion, please?
This is Scott, I make a motion that excuse me, I make a motion that we approve the 2021-2022 prayer certification and single set of assurances as presented.
Can I have a second, please?
Paula, I second it.
Linda,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Dixie,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Nicholas.
Yes.
Motion passes.
The last item, and I probably can't recall, was it 3,500 or 4,000 that we're asking?
3,500, yes, ma'am. It was
3,500,
reduced a
okay.
bit.
Okay, approval of the NHA Leadership Summit and Administrative Planning Retreat in the amount of 3,500.
Fourth.
We reduced it to 3,500, Khadija.
Oh, okay.
We updated the sheet, so.
It's
So
the
what
one
this is
right here,
for,
correct?
Yep.
This is okay.
thank you very much. So usually we would all go to Grand Rapids, Michigan for our leadership retreat. We being the dean, the three deans and myself. We're not doing that this year to COVID, but we did want to be able to have a planning retreat as we've done in years past, aside from that journey to Grand Rapids with all of the leaders from around the country. So this year they're doing the summit virtually. And so we wanted to combine our administrative planning retreat. In the past, we've gone to the town of Winston-Salem, or we've gone to outside of Asheville, just to have a time where we can all hunker down and develop schedules and work on placements and class rosters and all of those things. So we would request from the available board balance, which had a lot of rollover from last year, the sum of $3,500 is outlined here. During those days, we will attend the virtual summit, and then we will also, the four of us will collaborate and work together, not only to plan things based on what we're participating live in virtually through the summit, but also things that relate to schools. So we respectfully request your consideration of that.
Can I have a motion from the floor to approve that?
This is Dixie. I move that we accept or approve the $3,500 for use as stated.
And we have a second, please.
This is Diane. I second it.
Linda,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Dixie,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Nicholas.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. All right. Just one comment to make before we go to adjournment. As you all know, that the next meeting is in August, and it will be facilitated by Scott. Also, during the summer, should you have potential board members that you would like to recommend, either to, come on board in August, or just to be able to sit in and get a feel for it, please contact Khadija and Scott to let them know that information, so they can work with you to get that person to attend, or, again, possibly be on the board. Were there any additional comments before we close out on this? And otherwise, we're going to adjourn.
Just want to say congratulations to Steve again. Sorry I had to work on Tuesday and had such a
thank
full
you.
schedule, because I really, really wanted to be there. Once I saw all the pictures, I was like, dang it. So congratulations, sir.
Well, thank you, sir.
Deserved.
Thank you all so much. Appreciate your support.
Thank you. And I'd like to say thank Linda for all of
Yes.
her leadership for the years I've been with the board. She's done a fantastic job and wanted to know that we're going to sincerely miss her.
Well, I know we
Boy,
have
that's
very
the truth.
talented, we have very talented people on this board, so I have no doubt that we will carry, it'll be even stronger, so. I wish everybody
Well,
well.
we love you. We're going to miss you.
I know, and if something exciting
Indeed
happens,
so.
let me know. Let me know.
Thank
All
you.
right, with that note, I did say that we would keep it within the time frame, and we did. So thank you. I know, especially you, Steve, working with us to summarize a lot, and I know your passion, but I think you got the key points about the mental health, and
Yes,
that's so
thank you.
important. Yeah. So with that, I'm going to ask, can we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This is Scott. So moved.
Second,
This is Paul. I second it.
all
Linda,
right? Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Dixie,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Nicholas.
Yes.
All right. Have a great day, everyone.
So everybody.
You too.
Thank
Thank
you, guys.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.